I drive it out, go to the end of the driveway, and I set it on the ground, and I just like cloud 10. I was just like, finally, we did it, you know? And that led back to when I went to Courtney's and I told him I was gonna, you know, redo this. So I was like, did it, man. So. What's up, guys? Ricky Rowe from Houston, Texas. I'm in Negative Camber. Yeah, first car, I grew up into it. So my dad's had cars since he was a teen. So as soon as I was able to walk, talk, I remember him handing him wrenches, you know, when I was little, and I had to hand him the right one. So he's always had cars around, so I grew up with it, you know, slept and ate, did it all. What did I drive? Oh, my mom had a 1994 Impala SS, the good one. Got to drive that here in town, and it was pretty cool. Never got to really romp on it, but that was the first time I got to drive. It was fun. First vehicle was a 1992 Toyota Extended Cab pickup. It was red. We were at my grandma's house in South Houston. We were leaving one day, and there's a Fiesta, and there was a Toyota there for sale. And I was like, let's go look at it. So we went and looked at it and had a good price on it, so my dad got it for me. And I wanted to lower it. So, you know, twisted torsions, lowering blocks, you know, had a little system in the back. Thought I was the coolest kid in town. So that was my first vehicle. Dad and I went to a car show in Northern California, Paso Robles. And they had a cruise, you know, just where you could just go up and down the strip there in that little small town. And you see all the old hot rods and, you know, sleds. And then all of a sudden we saw like these full-size trucks come by, rolling an inch off the ground. And I was just like, that's too cool. Like I never seen it. You know, you saw the old, you know, the 50s, you know, Chevys and Fords, but to see something like late model laying on the ground. And matter of fact, I did see a little 92 pickup. You know, this was before I had mine, but I saw it was a 92 pickup and like at the time, like a 95 Chevy full-size. And they were just both sitting on the ground. And I was just like, that's too cool. And then of course, you know, grew up with Mini Truck and Magazine. My dad had the truck and magazines from, you know, mid 80s on. You know, grew up with the lowrider magazines. Of course, he had those too, you know, Hot Rod, you know, all the Rod and Custom, all the good stuff. So grew up into it and just always, it was always in front of me. I had the 92 pickup about 2 years. Received it my senior year of high school. I drove it a year after. And then I wanted to airbag that one. And then I went to go take it to someone to get it airbagged, and he popped the hood, looked underneath the front clip, and he's like, all the front frame rails have been hit. It's not worth doing. So that broke my heart. So I wanted to get another one. So a buddy of mine, Lurch, he said, hey, I'm about to make this deal with this guy, little trade. I said, all right, what you got? He goes, well, I'm gonna trade my 1960 Cadillac for this mini truck and this Harley. He said, did you have any interest in it? I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, it's airbagged. He's bringing it to me. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he showed me a picture of it, you know, and I was just like, sold, done. So then I felt bad because I didn't have that other Toyota along. I had it probably about a year. And then I was like, I gotta get this thing sold. So this was before, you know, Craigslist and OfferUp and all that. So we put an ad in the Chronicle, and I had it in there for like 2 months. And I was like, don't sell that truck. I want that truck. You know, he's like, it's not going nowhere. It's just sitting in my garage. I was like, okay, sold it. And then I drove up to Spring, Texas. And I said, come on, let's go to the bank. So got this truck from him back in 2004. This is my 97 Toyota Tacoma. First purchased it in February of 2004. Pretty much done up, all full custom, inside and out. It was airbagged. It was on 17s. Had graphics down the side, had the painted rear suspension that it has now, had a full tweed interior, painted dash on the top, so it looked really nice. Had a full stereo system, and as soon as I got it, I was 20 years old, and I drove it every day, so I didn't have anything else to drive, so it was my daily. Well, actually, I only went to one show. I was gonna take it to Heatwave the year I got it, and I got rear-ended. there on Highway 3 when it was back when it was a 2-lane road. And I'm just driving, you know, midweek, like at 9 o'clock at night. I see these headlights come up on me and they're getting closer and closer. And then all of a sudden they're like right on my rearview mirror. And then I just feel a bump. I turn and look and it's this little Jetta and he's speeding by me with like both hands on the wheel. And I'm like honking and he's just going in the opposite lane, going about, I'm doing like 50, he's doing like 60. And at the time I didn't have a cell phone. So luckily I had a pen and pad. I wrote down his license plate and then I had a buddy that lived off Humble Camp right there. So I turned off, got out of the truck, ran in their house because I knew, and I was there all the time. So they were like my second home over there. I was like, I gotta call the cops. This guy just hit me. And I was just like, he just hit my baby, you know? So called the cops. They come to the house, they see the truck. I give them the license plate. They go to his house and the vehicle's in the garage and the wife answers, says he's asleep. So they couldn't charge him with DWI, so they gave him reckless driving. And then I claimed it on my insurance. And what was really cool is their insurance guy or their adjuster, he came, I was at work one day and this was sitting in the driveway. And apparently he knew about, you know, custom work. So he itemized everything from the bed being cut out, the bed liner color matched. You know, he saw that it was a, you know, show truck, you know, custom. And he took care of me on that check. It was nice. So I ended up just paying off the truck and just keeping it. And then little by little, we went down that road of, you know, finding parts for it little by little. So after it got adjusted, I started driving it again, wrecked and all. So we just took a Metabo and just cut out the crinkled sheet metal on this driver's side. And we put a trailer light because I missed driving it. So you can see, like, you know, from the rear wheel all the way to the tail light was just open where you saw the bed floor skin. And I didn't care, you know, been better on the passenger side, but I didn't care. I wanted to get back in it and drive. So first show I took it to was Lakefront Tour, 2004. I was hanging out with my buddy Lurch and he's like, hey, that show's this weekend. I said, is it? He's like, yeah. I was like, let's roll. So we just hopped in it. I had no clothes, you know, and at the time you're young, no spare tire, you know, no nothing. Just got in it and went, and we drove over there. This one guy from Florida comes up to me. He's like, hey, I got a bedside for that truck in a box. And at that time, they just had a Hurricane over there. And he's like, as soon as I get power back up, I'll find it. It's in the back of the shop, but it's a OEM Toyota stamped bedside. I said, I'll take it. So I bought it from right there, you know, gave him the cash for it, and he shipped it to me. And so when at the time I was working at an off-road shop, a good friend of mine, Rob Rodell, and he's like, hey, if we're gonna cut that bedside off, let's go ahead and body drop this thing. I was like, okay. So we tacked up the bedside, then we body dropped the floor, and then we did the cab like in a week. The cab's still on, and this is a new bed, but it's held up ever since. 2005 is when I body dropped it. So, okay, yeah, so I told you that story about the truck, to tell you this one leading up to how I got this truck. So at the time, late 90s, my dad bought a 59 Cadillac before it was a big craze. And he was restoring that. And while he was restoring that one, my mom wanted an old sled. So he got her a 1960 sedan Cadillac. He was in the process of wanting to put air ride on it. You know, that was a new thing, especially around here in this part of town. And when he was in the process of wanting to airbag that 1959 Cadillac, we were going to Sutherland's in town one day, and we just happened to look over, and we saw this S10 with full graphics laying on the ground, had billet wheels. Like, well, whose is that? So we go and turn in there, and it's the infamous S10 with the Ryan Evans Chaotic Customz graphics on it. Vince Ghetto Bob from Negative Camber. So we pull in, me and my dad, and he starts talking with them. And then he also had a little orange Nissan hardbody extended cab there. He was doing a stereo on. So again, I'm just like, that is too cool. So like that again just made me like want a mini truck really, really bad. We went over there and he's like, hey, I need to get some airbags. He's like, okay, cool. And so we went back by a week later after he went and got some. and he had a friend over there, David Lurch Kalkowski. I think I butchered his name pretty good there. And he said he was in the market for a old Cadillac. My dad's like, hey, I got one. So he goes, what do you got? He's like, got a 1960 Cadillac. It's my wife's and she wants something else. He's like, yeah, let me come look at it. So Vince and Lurch came over to the garage here. They checked out that Caddy and he said, done. So he got the Cadillac and that's how we started meeting everyone else. And they were just headed out to West Coast Nationals, 99. And I was a junior or maybe a sophomore in high school. And I wanted to skip school so bad to go to that show because they were like going, it was him, Rob Rodell just freshly body dropped the first Nissan Frontier he just had done. So it was him, and then Vince was driving his S10 out there. Lurch was riding with him. That's where they did the road trip in street trucks in the back. They had a little feature where they rode out there together that Courtney did, which was pretty cool. Like a week later, they came back by, and that's when we got introduced to Rob Rodell. So he was doing all the suspensions for everybody, for all the mini trucks. And then he was out of Austin. And then he moved down here to Dickinson, and I was still in high school. Me and my dad went by there one day because Vince told us he opened up that shop. And I think I was on Christmas break, and like I said, I was 15 or 16. And my dad's like, well, he's not doing anything. Do you need him to do it? You know, because Rob was a one-man band. And he's like, yeah, I could use some help. So he just like left me there, and I just started helping Rob, you know, grind or cut or tap and thread, whatever, or assemble anything I could, and I was like, it was really cool because, you know, just got thrown in, you know, got introduced into the mini truck, you know, world. And here I am helping, like, you know, a guy that's, you know, been airbagging trucks, you know, here in Texas for a while, which was really cool. Got introduced to Negative Camber members, Vince, Ghetto Bob, Lurch, Radar, Lonnie, and of course, Courtney. My first truck show that we went to with them was at Lake Charles, the Lakefront Tour. And we went in the 1959 Cadillac. So we were, it was Saturday at the show. The old man was drinking all day. So he goes, hey, drive the Cadillac back to the hotel. I was like, okay. It was right by that Waffle House when you make that U-turn from the bridge over there. I was like, okay, so for wherever that complex is, it's not a 15-minute ride, I believe. I said, sure, I'll do it. And it was getting dark, overcast. And then it started raining. As soon as I'm driving this thing, you know, 19-foot long, you know, boat. And I'm just like nervous because, again, I don't have a driver's license and I'm out of state driving this thing. And our buddy Lurch had the Cadillac that he bought for my mom. He had it airbagged. It was flat black with House of Color, Lime Time Pearl flames. Had the roof painted the same green, airbagged on the ground, like I said. And we're following back to the hotel. So we turn into the hotel, and then there's a catwalk where you can park in the back of the hotel. So we follow him so everyone can make a U-turn instead of a 5-point turn. So, because there was 5 spots that were near the street, so we could put all the sleds and trucks there. So I'm following him. He makes the U-turn and then he comes back to the catwalk. And then I go through next, and I'm turning this big boat, and I'm turning and turning, and then we're coming up that catwalk. Well, it was raining, so the rain was hitting the roof really, really hard. And I thought I had turned, you know, I thought I went wide enough. And from the rear back fender, you know, from the behind the rear tire all the way to the bumper, I crushed the whole quarter panel in. And I was like, oh no, I'm dead. And I kept, you know, I gave it a little gas because I was like, oh, what am I? It's not going, because I was on a curve. And I was like, we got out and I go, whoops. Luckily the old man was hopped up and we're all having a good time with all the Negative Camber dudes. He's like, oh, we'll have Lurch fix it when we get back. And that was end of story. And then the partying commenced. So that led up to Lurch fixing the quarter panel, and we were back in business. I stopped driving this in 2007 because I kept getting pulled over all the time. I mean, it didn't, you know, I tried being legit as I could, just drove it up, you know, ride height all the way up, front and rear license plates, you know, it didn't matter. Got pulled over all the time, you know. Sometimes it was tickets, but just tired of being jacked with. And after we put that bedside and we body dropped it, I drove it around for, I don't know, maybe not even a year. And then I got rear-ended again. And, you know, with the bed cut out and body dropped, it buckled it all. So I was like, it needs a new bed. So I parked it, and then it got hit in the driveway here. So I had to put new core support and front end on this. So I just said, we just need to take a break. So I stopped driving it. I still stayed in touch with everyone. Didn't go to any shows really. We still did the Autoramas, and you know, we'd go to Heat Wave here and there. But yeah, and I just was figuring out what I wanted to do. I mean, I'm a grown boy now and I still don't know what I want to do. So, you know, so what sparked my interest back in getting back in the scene and, you know, getting this back to its glory. My friend Lurch and I, back in 2009, December of 2009, he's an old school mini trucker as well. And then, you know, some of them kind of evolve into like hot rods and sleds and muscle cars, anything fast, you know, which is cool. So he got into, you know, old early Fords. So he wanted to get a, you know, a Henry Ford, you know, 30s model Roadster. So he ended up finding one in California. So he's like, hey, do you want to do a little road trip / we go pick up a Roadster body? We get a little utility trailer because it was just the body and the frame rails. And there's, you know, it's no bigger than my bed, you know, those old early Fords. And I said, what's the time limit here? He's like, well, can you take 2 weeks off of work? I said, yeah, sure. I was like, where are we gonna stay? And you know, how fast do you wanna do this? And he's like, let's just go straight through. You know, I'll drive 12 hours, you drive 12 hours. I picked him up in Houston, North Houston in the sticks. And we made it all the way to, I wanna say Las Cruces, New Mexico. We ate at a truck stop and then I napped. And then we got up early again, and then we made it all the way, or we kept going that night till Flagstaff in Arizona. And you know, I went through all the night, and then I was like, man, it's like 9 in the morning, I need to take a nap. So I slept till like 1 o'clock. And then from Flagstaff, we rolled all the way into California. So we ended up staying at Courtney Hallowell's house. You know, met him, the first time I met him was at the Lakefront tour where I crushed the quarter panel on the Cadillac of my dad's. Yeah, so yeah, we had already known him, you know, 4 or 5 years at the time. And Lurch got with them and was like, hey, I'm gonna pick up a Roadster body. Can we stay at your house? He goes, come on, more than welcome. And you know, nicest guy, do anything for you, you know, great photographer. I loved his features. If he didn't do it, I really didn't want to look at it or read it, you know, because his were just so well put, you know, loved it. So we got up there in California in 2 days, and it was really cool because while we were out there, I think right when we got there, he took us on a little tour. So he took us to like Devious Customz, you know, with Jeff Davey, which is a real nice guy, real jam up dude. He showed us around his shop. I think we went and ate lunch with them. Yeah, him and his dad out there. So it was a good little group, me, Lurch, and Courtney, and you know, Jeff and his dad. He showed us around the shop, and they had some cool projects going on as they always do. And they're so blown up now, which is great, you know, seeing them from now to then, you know, been really cool. We go pick up that Roadster, and then it's like our last few days. It was like the last week of December going into January. So he had a little New Year shindig, all this. And second to last day we were there, and the guest room I was in, he had a bunch of the Flat Out DVDs, you know, from way back. I don't know if you remember those. Yeah. This was actually featured in Flat Out. It was on the cover. And when Lurch got delivery of this vehicle, the owner gave him a copy of it, and I got to see it. I was like, oh, cool, that's that truck, you know, and he ended up getting it. But anyway, Courtney's like, I was like, oh man, I haven't seen all these, you know, at the time they weren't on YouTube yet or anything. And he's like, man, grab all the ones you want. And he goes, that one with your trucks on it. And he goes, you still got it? I was like, yeah, it's just sitting in the back burner. He's like, man, that thing's cool. I said, yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna bring it back one day. I'll bring it back to its glory. He goes, man, do it, man. That thing was cool. So I just remember him telling me that, and I never took that DVD. I just like, I was like, that's all his stuff. I should just, it's his stuff. He told me to take it because he had like 3 copies of each one. He wouldn't have noticed it missing. But me telling him that really led up to me wanting to complete this, because he was a pioneer in the scene, Brian Gendro, the definite pioneer of Southern California of, all this mini truck stuff. So I told him, yeah, I'm going to bring it back. And of course, every year, Radar, are you bringing your truck to Lone Star Throwdown? No. How about next year? No. You gonna bring it out? No. So I'm glad he stayed on my butt to get this truck done. So finally, being a big boy and with a grown-up job, I've been able to, buy parts, get stuff, and make it happen. So this all started, there was a few times I wanted to initiate a build, but at the time didn't have the resources to do it. I was pretty lucky to body drop it when I could, when I had it that first few years of driving it. So then it just sat and sat. Then people were just like, what are you gonna do with that thing? You wanna sell it? And I just, for some reason, I wanted to hold on to it. Just I was like, it's paid for, it's not costing me anything. And then leading up to summer of last year, May 2019, I said, I'm gonna get on this thing. So I went down to the metal yard, steel supply. I was like, let me tackle this bed because I need to, that's a big obstacle. So 120 feet of 1x1 tubing and a big sheet of 8x12 16 gauge. I decided to tackle it. So a good friend I grew up with, Mariano Cassiano, I said, hey, if I start working on this truck, will you help me out? It's just a lot easier with 2 extra set of hands. And I haven't seen him in a while, so it gave me an excuse to, rekindle, our friendship. He has a wife and kids, he's busy, and I'm busy as well. So it was good that we could get together and do this. So we started in May 2019. Again, used vacation to just stay on it. And we picked the worst time to work on this thing in a garage with no AC. So we're just dying as we're grinding and cutting and welding. It took about 3 months off and on to get the bed, not to where it's at now, but where we could start doing body work. Yeah, a month out, beginning of the year, just wrapped up the body work on the bed. And then after that, called up my good friend, Rob Rodell, Big Pun, as he was once called back in his heyday. I said, hey, if I get a brand new welder and plasma cutter, will you come rebag the taco? He goes, yeah. He ended up coming over here, it was just a walk in the park for him, He measured it, he's like, oh yeah, we got this. So, okay, cool. I got to finally put my wheels on. Ordered these wheels last summer in 2019. And again, wanted to go with the 90s mini truck look. So we went with the Hot Rods by Boyd. I'm running that's a 18x7 rim with a 215/35 tire. So I went and grabbed a wheel out of the spare bedroom, and I kept the hub straight, and he put it on, and he's like, oh yeah, this is the wheel. It's gonna look good. I was like, does it fit? He's like, yeah, it's good. I was like, whew. All right, cool. After we set the wheel on and we saw that it's gonna work good, and I was, it got me, put some fire in me to get this truck going, because I wanted to see it with these wheels, with it laying on the ground, with shiny paint back on it again. And so we get back on the body work. That's all we really did. The month of January was body work in the cab. And then there at the end, we were about had it wrapped up, and I got on the back. When I got the truck, it had the House of Color Chameleon on the back tubing suspension. So I was trying to think of another color to go with. I was already set on doing this green again because I really liked it. And I wanted to see it all green without any graphics. And I thought a silver or like a satin bronze. I thought of all kind of colors I wanted to run. But I kept looking at pictures, and I'm like, man, that color it works with that green. So we ended up going back with that, the chameleon. This color, I get asked a lot if it's a custom mix or house of color. line, which is cool. It kind of looks like it, but it's not. It's a factory 2004 Kia Sophia Sunburst Gold. I tackled the paint and body myself. I figured if I'm gonna do the body work, I figured I'd give a shot at painting it. This is my second full vehicle to shoot. This is my first base clear, full paint job to do. I called everyone back in that was through the stages. My good friend Mariano, who helped me with the bed, was sick of looking at the bed. I said, hey, we have the cabin here. If you wanna, start getting sick of looking at that. The weekend before LST, it was like go time. The cab was painted, the bed was already painted. With 4 or 5 of us on it that weekend, we were thrashing because I had scheduled to get the interior turnkey for the show. And I just kept emphasizing, you sure you're gonna be able to get the interior done for the show? I was like, we don't have to rush it, but if you can get it done, cool, I'll bring it to you. Got it, Mariano got it running, fired right up, doing good. Rob got the airbags going. He tightened up any little thing we needed for drivetrain, brakes, whatnot. And then Mariano's, we got anything else? I said, no, we're good. We didn't get the interior done in time. It wouldn't have been able to get completed, which was cool. I was just worried about making it there, and if I could do everything I could in my power to get it there, to get it to this state, I was happy. So we worked all day Friday, and it was, what time was it? It was dusk. The sun was just about to set. And I took it off the jack stands, compressors were humming, the truck was on, and I was like, I just haven't seen this in so long, and I've been wanting this forever. I pulled it out because my dad had a good point. It's been here in this garage prison for, we've been looking at it on jack stands for 2 months straight, just up in the air, and we're nitpicking this and nitpicking that. And he's like, just wait till it's outside. And, and I flipped out once the bed was on, because it's always just been a, cab and the frame rails in the back for years. I bought that bed, but never put it on. So he's like, pull it out so we can check out that color. And man, we just had just enough sun. And I roll it out, or drive it out. So I drive it out, go to the end of the driveway, and I set it on the ground, and I just like cloud 10. I was just like, finally, we did it, And that led back to when I went to Courtney's, and I told him I was gonna, redo this. So I was like, did it, man. So yeah, as soon as I laid it out and I was like, we did it, man. I texted Rodell and I was like, dude, this one's for Courtney. He's like, man, that's awesome. We left for the show Saturday like noon, and my phone is going crazy. I didn't know it could ring that much because I'm not that cool of a famous dude or whatever. So my phone is blowing up. Where are you at? Where are you at? Like everyone that helped me with the truck, they're ready to see it in its prime. I'm like, I'm coming. So we get to the show, and they meet me in the back. They helped me unload it, which was cool. So they helped me unload it. And the foot traffic at LST, it was like crazy packed. And here I am, I'm being that guy rolling in, not to be cool, that's when I got done with the truck. Rolling in, so I had my entourage escort me in to LST. And I was like, I don't know where to park, I don't know where to go. Do they tell you, because I'm always a spectator when I go. So here I am, entered in this show. And so they go, yeah, come park over here by the camber guys. I was like, you sure? I was like, I don't know if I can, I ain't got no interior. It looks good from the outside. Like, yeah, come on. I said, okay. So we go to their spot they usually park at. Make my way in there. Had some people move, Killed the truck. I set it on the ground. And I'm like, we made it. Finally, after all these years, which was really cool. So as soon as I get out of the truck, Chris Coddington walks up, and I'm like, I think that's him. Yeah, that's him. So I'm like, hey, Chris. He goes, Ricky, how's it going? I go, good. He goes, I've had a few other people ask me if they, my wheels look good on their truck. And he's like, I don't think that's Ricky. Ricky said he had a green Tacoma with Trifans. So he said he saw me pulling in, led him to come up. So it worked out perfectly. So he came up, he saw the truck with the wheels, you know, and he's been around a long time and he's seen a lot of high-end, you know, builds. So for him to look at this and then say, man, that looks good. I was like, thanks, man. All my friends pile around, they get to see the truck and they're just like, you know, like, you did it, man. I was like, yeah. So I was just like on this like ultimate high that I finally got the truck done. And I'm like, all right, I need to look for a Radar and Lonnie because I finally have my truck here, you know? And you know, they're real busy with that show. So I was like, they'll see it. They'll know where it's at. Before we left for LST, I asked Radar, I said, hey, can I put a Camber logo on it? I got some from Rodell. He goes, yeah, sure. And then, you know, with the interior not being done, I was like, nah, I'll wait. I was like, I want to have it completed before I do it. And, you know, I wanted him to put it on, you know, kind of like, you know, how you get initiated in prison. So I've read. So I wanted the, you know, he's the head honcho. You know, he's the chairman, I believe, of the Texas chapter. So he's the forefather of Negative Camber for Texas. So didn't put a logo on it. Parked the truck, talked to Chris, and then I went to go walk around with my friends to look at the other stuff out there because we got there like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I thought I felt my phone go off, but you know when you're walking, you're like, okay. And then I grabbed my phone and my dad's like, hey, these NC dudes want to talk to you. I'm like, okay. So walk back over to my truck and there's like a big old group over there. And I walk up and they're like, hey, this guy just logoed your truck. I was like, awesome. So for me to like, you know, have someone do it in the club, he was from Utah, appreciate you. It was really cool to have that logo back on there and I didn't even put it on there. So I wanted to, but it was cool that now that I can fly the colors again, you know, being back in it and, you know, kind of growing up with that whole group, you know, from all the guys out in California to here in Texas was really, really like an honor for him to do that. So that like made my day like even more. So we had a good time. We made it. Yeah, I want to thank everyone that helped me with this build. They did a lot. Wouldn't have been able to get it all done had they not gave their lending hand. It was really cool that, you know, I could say that, you know, we did this truck all as a team, you know. So I want to thank Mariano, Frank, Rob, Radar, my dad, all my family, all my friends, you know who you are, to make this possible. So thank y'all, much appreciated. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to BuiltToCruise. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, and check them out at BuiltToCruise.com. Thank you for watching.
We're good.
That was my first, and we painted that right here in this booth here at what we call House of Bondo. Is the name of our faux body shop. So there's House of Color, and then there's House of Bondo. So we're letting that be known. That's who did this. Is that vodka? Is that vodka? Because I'm getting the shakes here. I may or may not have had a beer or two when I was that age, but you know.
That's an outtake.
Yeah, and outtake. So.
You're good at destroying the back end of the vehicle.
Yes, I am. I am known for doing that. Yes. So yeah, with yeah, yeah. So like in short, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm kidding. If you like this channel, yeah, that stuff's hard to say. I'm gonna have to rehearse.